Hello everyone, I'm Wave. It's been quite a few years since I played Doki Doki Literature Club on the YouTube channel, and since then I've read quite a few other visual novels. Look, on this list here, I've got 45 games that I played thus far. I figured it would be fun to go ahead and put them on a tier list, rank them out, especially since I don't believe it would be really that great to play through them on the channel. It's probably going to be a pretty long video. I'm going to try and do my best to kind of explain a lot of these titles. Maybe not all of them, but just to kind of give you guys my opinion in a review sense, but also just to justify what I would rank them as. Let me go ahead and get started. I want to say first things first, I probably want to choose something that would be like maybe a baseline that we can rank the rest of the stuff on. Let's go ahead and maybe choose something like Hoshizora no Momoria first up. It's a pretty lengthy game. It's like maybe 30 or so hours. I think there's like 7 routes on it, and overall, I did enjoy it. It's not like the best of the best when it comes to visual novels, but I did enjoy my time with it. There's maybe some hiccups. Not really the biggest fan of some of the routes, but overall, I did enjoy it. I actually think this game is kind of unique in that there's a lot of like different perspectives that it uses, which I think benefits greatly to the plot because it's not only just like the player character, but it also shows the perspectives of other characters as well, which really like helps build the world. But even then, I would say like overall, it's not like, I don't know. I want to say it probably would be a B tier. So let's go ahead and just put that as like the main starter to this tier list. Next up, you know what? I mean, we got Alcana. Let's go ahead and grab, if I see it here. Maybe it's buried underneath. Oh no, here we go, right here. Alcana, the base game. I want to say a lot of people like Alcana. It's a newer visual novel. They're still making games of it, by the way, and most people just like really enjoy it. It's a slice of life, romance, but then also sports. And I think the sports aspect really does make it feel unique. Really good soundtrack as well, and just overall like really good quality. I would say this is probably, I don't know. I really like the theming of it too. I like how it's very um, what's the word? Just like futuristic with all the technology and like all the flight gear and whatnot. Uh, so it really does like vibe with me. So I'll go ahead and put that as an A. Looking at the other 2 games that have come out since then, Extra 1 and Extra 2. Extra 1 is probably going to be like a D tier. It's like maybe like 4 or 5 hours long, and I don't even think it's that long. It's like maybe 3. It is just like really, really just like slice of life, very brief, and didn't really have a whole lot of impact. This one, I know this one's like really high ranking on the visual novel database, Hakana Extra 2, and I know a lot of people like Misaki. I liked it because it is mostly sports as well, so it's like it's got more so of like what a lot of people really love about Hakana. Even so, it's like maybe a 7 or 8 hour game. I wouldn't really say it's an A tier. I feel like it's B because it's there, it's nice, but it's not really something that's like really insanely good. Um, Next up, you know what? Let's do ahead and we'll go ahead and do Go Go Nippon. So this is a very old game. I think there's like 2 other adaptations of it that are just like newer versions of it. They're supposed to be making a second game. I don't know if that's actually still happening, but I liked it. It's probably going to be a C tier though. It's not too deep when it comes to story. It's got like a nice little like gimmicky to where you get to choose which like tourist locations you go to, and it has like a breakdown on what the conversion rates for money wise it would be. So like if you were to actually go to Japan, you'd be able to see, okay, these are tourist spots and this is how much you'd end up spending, and yada yada. You get like history on the spots. It's pretty cool. But overall, it's not like really deep, I guess. That's why I would say Go Nippon's probably like a C tier. Next up, you know what? Let me go ahead and grab something else like Data Live, Rio Reincarnation. I believe this was a combination of 3 PS3 titles that ended up getting ported over to PS4 and then also PC. And then when it got localized, it was able to have all 3 of those games combined into one. I don't know. I feel like, actually, this is probably a C tier as well. It's 3 different games packaged as one. So already you're getting a good amount of like bang for your buck. But in the same way, Data Live is like kind of I guess, what I would call like a console visual novel. Which is like really weird to say, but I guess I would liken it to maybe like how licensed like movie video games are, and where it's not of like the same quality as like if you go ahead and you buy a licensed movie title compared to like you're buying something dedicated visual or not visual novel, like video games, or like if you're buying your Mario or your Sonic or whatever it is, it's a different experience. Data Live also kind of has the problem of where it's the same like common route, but then it just kind of for each character route, it's not its own specific route, it's just like scenes. So it would be like you're playing this through the same game like however many times, but then you just have like 4 different scenes with characters, and then you got to replay it again and replay it again. So I would say Data Live's probably like a C tier. You know what do I want to do next? Let's go ahead and we'll do Nekopara 1. So Nekopara 1, well, there's a lot of Nekopara games. I know we're waiting on the final Nekopara game, which I think is supposed to come out this year. They're pretty, just fun romps. You play it for a couple hours and then you kind of forget it. Nekopara 1 is like pretty solid. There's a reason why it got popular. It's because people, enjoyed it. I would say it's probably C tier though. It's not really story driven, and then at the same time, it's just like the stereotypical cute girls do cute things kind of thing. I do like Nekopara, but it's not gonna be anything particularly amazing. Let's go ahead and bang through some of these other Nekopara. So Nekopara Extra is like probably like a 40-minute visual novel. It's even like less substance, but yeah, it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap and it's pretty enjoyable. Just for like the short time you'd be playing it for. Same thing for Nekopara 0. Let's go ahead and do Nekopara 2. Oh, Nekopara 2 is probably in the same camp as Nekopara 1. It's kind of just like introducing more of the characters and just same deal. Let's go ahead and grab, where's Nekopara 3? Don't ask why it's in Japanese. When I tried to like get all the images for this tier list, some of the games did not really have the best quality images available online. Nekopara 3 is actually 3 and 4 are more in depth. If I could find Nekopara 4. Did I not have it on the tier list? Oh, and okay, I do. Nekopara 3 and 4 are a little bit better. They're more like longer form, and Nekopara being a longer visual novel. I want to say because like if Nekopara 1 and 2 are like maybe 4 to 5 hours, Nekopara 3 and 4 are closer to the like 7 to 8 hour visual novel. Maybe not even 7 hours, probably like 6. But still, I think like Nekopara 4 is better than Nekopara 3. It's definitely the best one. Nekopara 3 is, I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I do remember it being pretty involved in the story. And I think it's like just, it cuts it above the other Nekopara games just a bit. Let's just get this one out of the way. Tokyo School Life is I played it on Switch. It's also one of those like very short visual novels. Doesn't really have a whole lot of substance. I remember it's like very weird. Like there's 3 routes, but then it's like stereotypical school stuff, but then it goes straight into like weird things where like all of a sudden, one of the girls is involved in like the mafia, and then like one of them's like a pop star. It just feels kind of weird. It's like all over the place. I think it's all right. I would say it's probably like right there. I haven't even barely been sorting these yet. I can go ahead and do that starting now. I do think Go Go Nippon is probably top of C tier. So far, that seems fine. Yeah, and let's go ahead and let's grab, you know what, Doki Doki Literature Club. Let's get through all these like mainstream ones. So DDLC, there's two versions. There's the free version, and then there's the Literature Club Plus version that came out that was like relatively cheap. I think it's like $12, and only added like maybe 2 hours of content with some slice of life stuff that's separate from the main game. I kind of wish they had done some more stuff. Like once you get to like Act 2, it kind of just ends up like beelining into like a Yuri route that then goes into Monica. It would have been cool if they'd added some like additional stuff, even if it was like Act 2 could be Natsuki as well. But I don't know. It's mostly the same game between both. I will say that the Literature Club Plus version is a little bit like not as cool, just because of the fact that they had to make it for consoles. So you can't go into your computer's files and like manually delete Monica. You have to do it through this like separate portal that's like in the game now, which is a little less cool. But overall, DDLC, where would I put it? I feel like it's probably maybe above Nekopara 1. Just because it's like, it is cool, but it's like not something I would replay, because it's like once you played it the one time, it's kind of hard to replay it again, because there's not a whole lot of replayability, and then also you already know what's coming. Let's go ahead and do something kind of unique. Air. This is the most recent visual novel that I finished, and there's a hot take. Might be canceled for it. I do think Air is the weakest out of all the key visual novels I've read so far. The script feels like it's like all over the place. I swear you have to play like 15 to 20 hours before you even really begin to like understand what the main character's goal is throughout the game, which I think is pretty bad. You get this very vague description of what like the story of Air is, and then you just play slice of life after slice of life after slice of life, and there's like 5 routes in the game, and I can only really say that I like enjoyed one route, and then the first route I played was solid until the ending, and then like the other 3 routes are kind of like didn't really enjoy it. I don't think Air is like a D tier visual novel, but I do think, in terms of enjoyability, it is kind of weird. I almost want to put Nekopara 1 and 2 over Air. I don't know. I mean, like, would a 6-hour route that I did enjoy beat out Nekopara, where I can play the entirety of it and have enjoyment from there? I think I'm going to keep Air at the bottom of C tier for right now. Let me go ahead and grab Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. This one is a free game. Came out on like April Fool's Day a couple years back, I think. And it's alright. It's like a Western visual novel, which is not really bad. I mean, like, hey, DDLC is a Western visual novel. I feel like it's very like weird. So I didn't put this on the tier list, which maybe I should have. The KFC visual novel. It almost feels like it's... Oh, and Overwatch did a visual novel too. And both of those, plus like Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, feel like it's just kind of promotional. It's like this afterthought kind of thing. Murder Sonic the Hedgehog has a lot more going for it than those other two. And like I did enjoy it. I wasn't really the biggest fan of the like Subway Surfer gameplay kind of thing. I actually had to like pull out the controller to like beat the ending portion of it. That's how like hard it was to do on keyboard, which is weird because right here, Baldur's Sky. I played through all of Baldur's Sky with keyboard and mouse. Or not even mouse, just on keyboard. But Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, gameplay was kind of weird. I didn't like how it was like a detective game, but then you're allowed to like make the wrong choice and it just kind of doesn't do anything. It'll just be like, nope, you're wrong, pick again. So I don't know. I feel like they could have done more with that. Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, I almost feel like, yeah, this is probably a good spot right under air. Yeah, well, I don't know. Let's put it there. We'll put it in D. Next up, let me go ahead and grab, you know what, let's grab another like A tier game probably, Steins Gate. This is Steins Gate, the original. Everyone knows Steins Gate. It is a phenomenon. A lot of people like it. It's kind of a game I could see people not really liking because you do have to kind of be someone that like knows otaku culture to kind of appreciate it in a way. But I liked it. I had watched the anime first and then, played the visual novel later, and I was surprised at how, well, one, how good the adaptation of the anime is, but then second, how the visual novel does have stuff that the anime doesn't have. It kind of does deviate a little bit towards the end, and overall, I really love the cast and characters of Steins Gate, despite the fact that the setting of Steins Gate is kind of just like okay, it's just there. It still does it like a really good job of making you kind of appreciate the setting, with how much they kind of lean into like how electronics and all the like weeb culture and stuff. Everything about Steins Gate just feels really solid. You know what? And then let's go ahead and grab Steins Gate Zero. I'd actually put Steins Gate Zero above base Steins Gate because while Steins Gate is like really good, I kind of love how Steins Gate Zero is, well, one, the anime is kind of mid, I would feel. But, like, for a game perspective, the reason probably why the anime was kind of mid was because Steins Gate Zero feels more like a multi-route visual novel. There's a lot more choices. There's a lot more, like, variance in, decisions and what happens because of those decisions. So I do like that aspect of it. It almost felt like there's more of the phone wave and the texting stuff in Steins Gate Zero as well. Story is still really solid. Same cast of characters, and the characters that they do introduce, I personally felt were still very much like at home in the world of Steins Gate. So I actually do think Steins Gate Zero beats out the original just a little bit. Let me go ahead and grab. Let's do Planetarian. Planetarian, short and sweet. It's like maybe 3 to 4 hours long. Story is somewhat predictable, but I do enjoy it. It's got this like vibe of the, what's it called? It's like robot, and then just like a destroyed city. And I don't know. I think Planetarian's all right for what it is. It's not amazing, but I think it's like just a solid, quick read. Where I would put it, I don't know. I almost feel like Planetarian is maybe somewhere around here. I don't know. It's very brief. I think that's fine for now. Let me go ahead and grab maybe like a bigger title. So let's go ahead and grab Fata Morgana. Let's do that. So I know a lot of people really, really love Fata Morgana. When I was reading it, I was surprised at the amount of people that say like it's like one of their favorite literature pieces in just general, not even strictly to visual novels. When I was reading it, I actually stopped, and then I came back to it later, because the way it's like kind of presented is a little weird, because it's like you have these scenarios of stuff that plays out, and once you've seen like the first scenario, you kind of already know the ending for each sequential scenario, which kind of takes the draw out of it. And then at the same time, I'm a person that, if I want to play a game or like read a story or whatever, I'm doing it out of enjoyment. So to know that like each of those portions of the game would end up being a like quote unquote like bad ending kind of took me out of it. Some of them became like really predictable and I wasn't really a fan. But when I did come back to it, I actually really enjoyed it because then I finally got into like the second portion of the game, and I feel like the writing is really good. The music does start to get good too. I feel like so the first door felt really repetitive, but like especially in the second portion of the game, the soundtrack's great. There's no voice acting, but I don't feel like it really impacts the story. Because if anything, it just says that the story is so good that it can stand by its own without all the bells and whistles. I like the like familiarity and all the how well the characters like bounce off of each other when they're talking to each other. And overall, I feel like Fata Morgana is a really solid game. I don't know. I almost feel like that's probably a good spot for it in A tier. Because like I did enjoy it, but because of like the stuff that I had issues with, I want to say I don't think I could put it above something like Steins Gate. And then I don't know. I almost feel like it's probably no. I feel like it should be better than like Alcana Extra 2. Let's go ahead and let's grab something like Katawa Shoujo. Katawa Shoujo is free. It was my second visual novel, actually. It was the game I played after Doki Doki Literature Club. I want to say Katawa Shoujo is like maybe a 30-hour game, but I don't have like any way of tracking it because it's not like a game that's on Steam or anything. Overall, pretty solid. I liked it. It is surprising at how good it is, considering that it was made by like, I guess quote unquote like amateur people. It was just like a bunch of people off 4chan that like formed a studio together and then said, like, hey, let's get this done. And it turned out pretty good. I want to say Katawa Shoujo. Let's go ahead and put it like right here, because it's very long form, so it's still plenty of time to like enjoy it compared to something like Alcon Extra 2, which is very shorter. And I like all the routes. I know a lot of people have problems with the student council president route. I don't remember her name. I think it's like Shizuku or something, or it's like Shizuru. I don't know, but or it's like Chizune. I have no idea, but I actually didn't mind the route. So overall, Katawa Shoujo is really solid. I would say it's actually a pretty good pickup if you're like looking to get into visual novels because of the fact that it's free. And it's got plenty of choices, which does like really change the way of how you play the game. It's got a lot of common route stuff that you can do. So overall, it's pretty fun. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, so let's do this. Is the fan game to Hoshizora no Momoria. I think it's called Eternal Heart. And this one is on the not shorter side. I think it's still like maybe 15 hours. I liked it. It's solid. I would say one thing I didn't mention is main girl in Hoshizora no Momoria feels kind of like they built her up as like an end goal for the game, and then when you got to her, it was kind of like a little disappointing. I feel like they redeem her in the fan disc. Even so, there's like 2 actual routes, and then the rest are kind of like little side story snippets. It's not something like too quality, but I'd say it's probably better than like Nekopara 4. Let's go ahead and let's do Harmonia. So this is another key game. I would say it's better than Planetarian. A lot of people actually say Planetarian is better than Harmonia, but I don't know. I like it more. I like the vibes. It's more of that like desolate wasteland. I have realized as I've been playing, we can actually grab them all right now. Eden and what is there another one I have on here? Oh, and then like Atri. All these games are like dude and then like robot girl. It's kind of weird. That it's like a separate like subgenre in the like anime space. So Harmonia, I liked it. I would say it's probably maybe somewhere. I don't know. Do I want to put it above Nekopara? No, because it's like 3 hours long. So I'd say it's like probably, yeah, like right here. Um, End of C tier. Eden, I used to be big on Eden. It's very short. It's like 6, 7 hours long. Soundtrack's amazing. If you look at the art quality, every single bit of the visual novel looks like a CG, which and it's like properly animated. There's like full lip flaps um, for conversations and dialogue. And just like overall, the story's pretty solid. I almost feel like it is a little too close to Planetarian, but it's like Planetarian done better. I would say I'd probably put Eden maybe like right around here, maybe. Above Alcana Extra 2, underneath Katawa Shoujo. I don't know, it's pretty good. I liked it, and it's not too long of a read if you wanted to get into it for yourself. Let's go ahead and grab, you know what? Let's do a, what do I want to do? Let's go ahead and grab, you know what? We'll do an S tier pick for people. So this is separated into two, well, it's 3 games, but Muv-Luv Extra and then Muv-Luv Unlimited are in one package, and then Muv-Luv Alternative is in a separate package. So it's 3 games, but it's like separated into 2 applications. I would say Alternative is an S tier game. I do really love Muv-Luv though, but I don't think the base 2 games are S tier worthy as much as I love it. I do feel like, yes, you have to go through all 3 routes to appreciate the story, which is a little bit of a tough ask for people. And also, if a lot of people heard about Alternative, they might be a little disappointed that they have to go through like rom-com for the first like 20 or so hours before they get to all of the other stuff. But I think it's worth it. Muv-Luv Alternative, pretty solid. I don't think it's like the pinnacle of visual novels out of the ones that I've read so far, but at the same time, I do enjoy it. The story's really good. I'm a little disappointed at the ending. I feel like it was a little rushed towards like the latter, like let's say the last maybe like I don't know. I wouldn't say like last 10 hours. Let's say the last maybe like 6 or 5 hours of the game feels like it's kind of rushed. Like they're running out of budget and they're like, okay, we have to get to the ending like now. Overall, characters are great. Protagonist is really good. I like how he changes throughout the game to where he's very like immature and kind of just like I don't know. He's just kind of like a flake. And then by the end of Alternative, he is like this hardened soldier that knows how to like make decisions and like put people first. So I don't know. I like Muv-Luv Alternative. Let me go ahead and you know what? Let's grab some other Muv-Luv stuff. Photon Melodies and Photon Flowers. Photon Flowers. So both of these, they're like a compilation. There's like one route for each that's like a main route, and then there's like a bunch of just like small stories. I did not read any of the small stories, I will admit, for either of those, but I will say. So this is like Sumika After, and for like after story, as in like like Clannad after story. So it's like a route that takes place after the Sumika route in main Muv-Luv game. I did not like it. Ooh. I really didn't like it. I don't know. Yeah, we can maybe put it above Tokyo School Life. I'm not entirely sure. Photon. This is what Photon Melodies I actually did like. I would say this is probably maybe like above Eternal Heart. It has like maybe a little bit too much of like because it's supposed to be the story after Muv-Luv Alternative. and it kind of is supposed. I was looking forward to it being more like rom-com, and then it has a little bit too much like soldier-esque alternative stuff in it, to where it kind of soured the mood for a little bit. On top of the fact that like each route is kind of the same thing that I said with like Date A Live, to where it's the same common route, but then you just have like little scenes with each character, to where like if you're replaying to do all the routes, it's just very repetitive. Overall, though, I think it's pretty solid. Let me go ahead and grab. Let me do. Let's do another key game, I guess. Let's do Tomio After. This one, I think it was alright. I know a lot of people are saying it was like kind of hits harder than like something like, well, let's go ahead and do. Where's it at? If I can find it. Clannad. Did that. Tomio After is more like depressing, and it's like story hits harder than Clannad. I don't believe that for a second. Tomio After is like solid. In overall, like I like key art style. I like key soundtracks. I like characters and the comedy and whatnot. But Tomio After is like on the shorter side. It's like an 8-hour visual novel. It's like technically, I guess, like a fan disc. I don't know. I feel like it's decent. I want to say this is probably maybe about like above. I know. I almost feel like it's probably like right here, sandwiched between Nekopara 4 and 3, in that it's like decent, but not like anything stand out, I guess. Let's go ahead and grab. Let's start doing some Yuzu Soft stuff. So I guess let's do the first one that I played, which was Senran Banka. When I got into Senran Banka, I know a lot of people actually kind of share the same sentiment, in that when you're playing through it, you kind of get the feeling that like, okay, they have this really good setting, really good like idea for like a longer form story, and then you kind of get to it and it's kind of just all like fluff, and then like slice of life rom-com stuff, and then like the story kind of gets resolved a little too quickly. So this being my first Ubisoft game, I remember being like a little disappointed, but I think if I was to replay it now, I would enjoy it because I know what I'm getting into when I go into a Ubisoft game. I know, what's it called? Muramasa, the green hair girl. She had a pretty solid route, and then also the blonde hair girl. I don't remember her name, but she had the more like true route kind of feel, where the story actually does continue on past what the all the other characters kind of do. And I don't know. I feel like Senran Banka is a pretty solid like mainstream visual novel, but at the same time, it's enjoyable. I did like it, and it is like a little on the longer side. I would say I probably would put it. Let's put it like maybe here. I want to say underneath Photon Melodies. Let me go ahead and do. We can maybe go back and forth between Ubisoft and Air, or not Air, and Key. I don't know. Let's go ahead and do. Oh, wait, no. I put Clannad up here. So Clannad, there's a lot of things to say about Clannad, but then also what needs to be said about Clannad. I do agree with the sentiment that base Clannad, I know especially on the anime front, is that it's like very like slow and can get kind of boring during the school portion. I think playing it as a visual novel does make it a lot more enjoyable, because there's all the different choices that you can do. There's like little like tidbits you can kind of see of like how they built upon it later on, with little busters of these like kind of like mini game-esque kind of like things you could do in the game. I feel like a lot of the character routes are more impactful because of the fact that it's like they're on their own specific route, as opposed to having to be like sidelined to Nagisa. And overall, like especially considering that Clannad After Story is a thing, which is really really good. It's like incredible highs. I do think Clannad is like one of the biggest visual novels, and kind of like a normal, like normie kind of take, but I think Clannad is definitely one of the top tiers. And it's like well renowned for a reason. Let me go ahead and do, I guess, yeah, another Ubisoft. So let's do Riddle Joker next. So Riddle Joker, I really like. I want to say it's probably my favorite. Well, no. So I have a new favorite Ubisoft title, but Riddle Joker is like my favorite out of all the like modern ones. I've only played one older one, by the way, but I'm just saying as far as like all the slice of life, rom-com kind of ones. Riddle Joker is my favorite. Soundtracks incredible, and despite the fact that I knew that going into it the story wasn't going to be that like in depth, I was surprised that like Main Girl actually did have a kind of cool and like climactic ending. Despite the fact that rom-com comes first when it comes to Ubisoft titles. I want to say Riddle Joker is probably maybe like here above Karawa Shoujo. It's decent length, um, plenty of fun, and yeah. Let me go ahead and do. I think this was my third visual novel that I played when I was getting into. I played Doki Doki Literature Club, then I played Karawa Shoujo, and then I played If My Heart Had Wings. I feel like If My Heart Had Wings has definitely fallen off for me. I want to say it's probably like above here above like Fata Morgana. It's really solid. It's actually like very long. I don't know if that's because I was a slow reader back when I was getting into visual novels, but I think it still is like one of my like most logged in hours for like a visual novel. I think it's like sitting around like 35, 36 hours in total playtime. I do like that. Oh wait, no, this isn't even. This is Flight Diary. This is If My Heart Had Wings, the base game. So I do like it. It feels very like I like the vibes. It's kind of still also that same kind of futuristic kind of like setting. I like the fact that each route has an end goal and that it's all the same goal. In that they're trying to make it to the thing. I believe it was like the end, not the end sky. They're trying to make it to the morning glory, which is like a cloud that only shows up like every once in a while with the glider. And I like that on each route that is the end goal. There's a lot of like stuff you learn about gliders while playing the game, and then also the characters are very enjoyable. Music is really top tier, by the way, and you can get it pretty cheap as well. So I feel like a lot of people have played it. I know there's like the what's it called? The controversy with I believe her name's Agaha route, to where then when they localized it, there was the issue of like because her route in specific is just so like sexualized, I guess would be the term, in that it, like is very much. I don't want to spoil too much, but it has to do a lot with like abuse and kind of like this sort of like friends with benefits kind of deal that like I've never played it. I've been wanting to play If My Heart Had Wings on Switch so I can kind of experience what um, the publishers did to it and like like the localizers, but I haven't yet. Even then, I feel like I probably wouldn't even like that route normally if it wasn't like one of my first few visual novels. But I know that a lot of people don't really want to touch the game because of the fact that they know that it's like one of the biggest examples of like a game that was kind of destroyed in localization. But I don't know. I feel like it's definitely worth people's time. And overall, I think it's like a solid A tier. Let me go ahead and grab. Let's do. Oh yeah, let's do Flight Diary now. Flight Diary is probably going to be somewhere around maybe like here. I think mostly because of the fact that Flight Diary actually had DLC that added in a route from like the PS Vita console version of like the base game. So there's like a full-on route included if you buy the like $5 DLC or whatever, but then also the actual like route with main girl is pretty good. It's like a continuation of the main game and does a good job of kind of like wrapping up the fact that like they're older in school now, and then they have like the newer students coming in, and I don't know. I really did enjoy it. The smaller stories are kind of like whatever, I guess. That also, Flight Diary also has censorship issues that I know was not fixed because at least with the base game, there's like a fan translation patch, or not fan translation, but like fan restoration patch. This game never got one, so you do have to just read it as is. So I know there's like one route that's missing, and then also there are some things I believe were changed that kind of doesn't affect it too much. I feel like I didn't have that big of an issue, especially so like something like this, Sky Full of Stars, same publisher. Um, Same thing, censorship issues, but I feel like I could tell in this game, and they didn't like egregiously like rip out parts of the story. They just kind of like black screen, and then you come back and you're like, okay, yeah, I know what happened. Skyfall Stars is kind of the same deal. I like that there is the end goal of them wanting to, it's like less memorable because it's like they just want to like see the stars or something like that. Um, I don't really remember what the main goal of it is, but it's kind of the same deal. I feel like the routes are a little weaker in Hoshi or in Sky Full of Stars, and then also, I will say, yeah, good soundtrack yet again. I'll go ahead and put this maybe right around, I don't know, to put it like here, I guess. Maybe, yeah, that seems right. Getting down into the end of it, let me go ahead and go through some of these. I probably left it a little loaded at the end. Let's go ahead and do Baldur's Sky. Baldur's Sky is similar situation as Muv-Luv, where it's like multiple games. I believe Baldur's Sky is like 2 games, but when it got localized, it got packaged into one. And I don't know. I feel like if it was 2 separate games, I'm not sure if I would have ever bought the second game, because I feel like Chinatsu route, which is the third route in the game, does feel really weak. It was definitely my least favorite route, and also like my least favorite character. Baldur's Sky is really good though. It's very long. I would say I think it's my second longest visual novel that I played. I want to say it was like 50 something hours. The production quality is like very very good. It's like absolutely amazing soundtrack. Similarly, I like the kind of like Blade Runner kind of vibes where it's like very like run down, and you got like all the like animatronic kind of stuff. And then I do like the fact that they kind of flip back between like the school days and then like the present time. Baldur's Sky is very like commendable for the fact that it has like a very in-depth battle system that you have with like the mech that you can customize, and you can level up your skills and do combos and stuff. I think similarly to, what was it, where I said Hoshizora no Momoria, where they kind of build up to the quote-unquote main girl of the game, but then when you finally get to her, it's kind of a little disappointing. And then also, I feel like Baldur's Sky could have very easily been like a really, really top-tier visual novel, but for as good as the battle system is, it gets really repetitive. After like a good while, it's just like the fact you can't skip it too if you've like already done that in like a multiple playthrough, or like, let's say, I don't know, where it's like just these long strings of combat. Some of the enemies are like very tanky, and it's like you kind of have to like burn through shield bars. And when you level up your gear, one, it gives you like this ability tree, and you have no idea what you need to unlock it unless you look at like a guide online. And then also the rate that your skills level up is so slow, and like the best way to do it is to, because you get XP based off of like how many times you use a move in a battle, and then like how much damage you did in a battle. So you end up just like spamming low level moves in like late game, to where fights take forever because you're trying to level up your moves So that way you have something like good for boss fights, and you can have like a more versatile move kit, but then at the same time, it just takes forever, and it's like really repetitive, and it does really like dull down the experience. I remember, I think literally like in the second to last route, I just gave up, and I was like, okay, I'm finishing up this move that I'm working on leveling up, and then I'm just gonna like go through the rest of the game with what I have, because it's gonna take too long to get through all these fights. If each fight's taking like anywhere between like 3 to 5 minutes just spamming like a move to try and level it up. But I don't know, overall, despite those negatives, Baldur's Sky is pretty solid. I don't think it's better than like If My Heart Had Wings. I had more enjoyable time with this. Same thing with like Steins Gate. I can play through these 3 games and just the whole game is really enjoyable. Baldur's Sky has some negatives to it, but I also think it's a little bit more in depth than something like House and Fata Morgana. So I'd say it's like towards the end of it, A tier. Let's go ahead and let's do this one. So this is also a Ubisoft title, Natsuzora Kanata, which is a Japanese-only game. There's only a couple of those on this list. There's, I believe, 2 more Japanese-only titles on this list that I haven't talked about yet. So you do, like, I had to read it with Text Tractor. I'm not someone that knows how to read Japanese, so you have to have it to where you boot up the game and then you have to like attach the application so that way it'll translate it as you read. I don't think that's actually a bad thing. I'm not too much of like a purist when it comes to like, okay, I want to make sure I'm reading 100% what the intended text was. I feel like in a way it's kind of cool because then you get to kind of interpret things your own way, which makes it to where you're thinking about the game a little bit more. Natsuzora Kanata has a really nice premise. I like that, we can actually talk about it. Summer Pockets. Summer Pockets almost feels like it kind of rips off Natsuzora Kanata, which is crazy because this is a key game and this is a Ubisoft game. Ubisoft is typically known for being a, adult, like, rom-com kind of title, like studio, or whatever that means. I don't know what I'm talking about. But this is the one game in all of Ubisoft's catalog that is trying to be like on a Clannad level, where there's like, a lot more in depth. We're trying to be more like emotionally charged, and I did like it. I think this is actually my favorite Ubisoft title, and I've actually like really grown to like Natsuzora Kanata in the time since I've read it. It's 3 routes where I actually feel like a lot of the VNs that I'm playing that have 3 routes feel really good because it's like there's still enough, different like combinations of choices you could do to where you get into like, multiple playthroughs and you can kind of enjoy the game further, where, you can learn about lore, about the world through like different perspectives, but at the same time it's like condensed enough that it's not like every single route is just like, okay, you feels like it was like not really developed because they had to spread themselves so thin while writing it. So I think 3 routes in a visual novel is really good, and then also just like I like the fact that, so this is a story about being on like an island, and the island is like set to where it's always summertime or whatever, and it's got like all this kind of like magic and like, mythos behind it, to where islanders believe that, you do this and that, and then like you'll be like blessed by blah blah blah. And I do like the setting. I feel like it's a little underutilized in the same way, kind of like Senran Banka, to where they could have probably like fleshed it out a little bit more, but the story is really cool. Like I said, you get to like kind of learn different things on different playthroughs, and you can kind of see like the actions of what happens if you don't go with a certain route as opposed to another. And I do like that. And overall, I like the 3 routes as well. I don't want to spoil it, but like each one feels very unique. Music is decent, but then art style is really good. I'm surprised that for how old of a game it is, it has a lot of the quality of life features you normally see in the Ubisoft titles, like being able to just like skip to the next choice and stuff. Where like some of the visual novels I'll be playing right now don't have like any of that, and it's surprising to see that this was like something that was like a thing all the way back in, I think it was like 2007. You could play like a modern game and it'll like not have the same kind of features. Like something like Steins Gate will not have an option to just like skip to a dialogue choice. I would say Natsu's Kanata is probably. I kind of hate to do it. I almost feel like I actually like it a little bit more than Baldur's Sky. Let's go ahead and do. You know, I'll spoil it right now. I think because we're talking about this, I want to talk about Monobeno. Monobeno Happy End, which I think is actually going to be my #1 spot for all the visual novels that I've read so far. It's also another Japanese-only title, but I actually played it after playing the base Maitetsu translation. That was, it's English localized, it's on Steam, but it's only like half the game. I was surprised that like the studio, so it's Lose, which is the company, how well they do like slice of life. So then when I went into Monobeno, I was kind of like, hey, I just really like the slice of life aspect. And I was like really surprised because so the first like 10 to 12 hours, which is common route, is like just all slice of life and world building and character building. And you really get to know the characters and the world, and you really get to kind of like become attached. And then at the end of common route, something happens, and then you finally get your like goal for the game. And I really liked it because so just like how Natsuzora Kanata, it's 3 routes, but it actually is like a 2-route split to where when you get to the ending of the main common route, you are like given a choice to go with one character or the other character, and it's very distinct. So one of them is like you stay in Monobeno and you have it to where you're researching into like yokai and spirits and like curses and stuff, and it's like this very biological kind of like setting. And then the other way is if you go and you move out of Monobeno, you go to the big city and you research medicine, and you go to like the hospital and you research all these like different like illnesses, and it's very like distinct in how different the choices are and like what leads to what. So like there's a situation to where you'll have like a character that in one route is like the main character's mentor and kind of like teaches you and how and like supports you in trying to like solve the dilemma, whereas like in the other route you get to see the consequences of like, okay, now this character, instead of being the mentor, is like a villain that is like hunting you down thinking that you are like the cause of the dilemma. And it's like really good. And then once you finally finish like both of those routes, you unlock the third route, and that allows you to kind of like see the story from the perspective of a different character, and it kind of is like this mystery where you solve what is happening. And overall, I just like really like Monobeno. It's got a lot of other things like it's got a lot. It's got slice of life. It's got like rom-com. It actually has action scenes, believe it or not, as well. So there's like so much like high quality baked into Monobeno that I cannot talk about it enough. I think it's definitely worth a read, but it's also the game that is like never gonna get localized because of the fact of like how long it is, and then also from what I understand with like how many different like since it's like a regional based with how much like different dialects you'd have to use and stuff. I do like Monobeno. I want to say it's probably top of the tier list. We can go ahead and talk about something like this game as well. Maitetsu Last Run. I think it's also probably an S tier game. Same kind of situation. So it's Maitetsu Last Run. This is also, so both Monobeno and Maitetsu Last Run are available on Steam. So it's easier to get access to them than any other like standard Japanese only visual novel. All you got to do is you just got to set up the translator. Same kind of thing where it's a lot of high quality soundtrack's really good. Really good slice of life. I will say this game has a little bit lesser because of the same dilemma that I was talking about when I was talking about Natsuzora Kanata, which is that this game has like too many routes. It's 3 main routes, but then like when you get to like after stories, um, it kind of falls apart because the main girl has like a full-on after story, which all 3 heroines in Monobeno have like a full, well-made after story. Main girl in Maitetsu has that, but then the other 2 that were like main characters kind of get a little bit screwed over because of the fact that there's like 5 other like lesser female characters that also get routes, and then so it almost spreads itself a little too thin. I actually did enjoy Paulette's after story, because even though it's like not a full on route, it's like 6 hours long. You gotta think like, for how like good it was, because it's very concise. It's like literally just a story about like the main character, the girl, and then like their children going on a vacation to like just this one little like small town, and they end up like having that be a full like 6 hour experience with how like condensed it is, compared to something where you'll read like, what is it, like something like, this game right here, or maybe even like Tomoyo After, where it's like trying to tell this broader story where there's multiple different locations in like such a smaller amount of time. And you think about how packed it is, that one route alone is like so good, in by comparison. I do think Maitetsu Mask Run is really good. I enjoyed it for a lot of the same reasons that I liked Monobeno. I do think it's a little weaker. I think Clannad, by the way, Clannad has like better highs, whereas Monobeno was like more solid all the way through. And then also just like this is very consistent, but I think it doesn't beat the same highs of this. I feel like Muv-Luv Alternative, if I could combine both of these games, it would beat out Maitetsu, but because they are 2 separate games, Alternative would probably have to be under. Let's go ahead and let's do Canon. So Canon, I'm surprised I haven't talked about it yet. Canon, I feel like, is like the textbook definition of how to like make a visual novel. So this is also one that is a Japanese only visual novel, but one, there's the anime adaptation, which is actually really good. But then also, this has a fan translation, so if you get your hands on Canon, it's not difficult to be able to read it in English. It's the same thing I did with Air as well. Air has a fan translation as well. Canon is like textbook. There's 5 routes, and I'm surprised at how solid 5 character routes is. And I like that there's no like true route. There is very certainly a like main girl, but the fact that like the main girl isn't like the driving force, and she's kind of like a background character in all the other routes, to where you can see the inner machine working, while you're doing these other things. I like that all 5 routes are standalone. Any of them can feel like, a proper playthrough. You don't feel like, if I play this one route, I feel like, I missed out because it wasn't going to be as good as this other route. They're all very solid. I like how, what is it? Like, what I'm saying is textbook. It feels like, everything about like the scenery is really well done. Like, they very meticulously planned out the fact that it was going to be set in like the winter with all the snow, and that like when you look at all the backgrounds, you can see that like, if you're outside, obviously it's snowy, but then like even at the school, like the school is like this teal blue kind of color, so where it still kind of gives off this cold vibe. But then like whenever the main character makes it to the house and they're like inside of the home, it's a lot of like warm colors, like browns and oranges. So you automatically feel like, okay, I can like relax as the reader. And it's kind of like, it is weird to be able to like look at those details and be like, yes, Canon feels like everything was just like meticulously planned out. and everything just kind of fell into place perfectly to where it is just like a really solid game. I don't think it's like very incredible. There's no like crazy heights to the story in canon like something like Clanhead, but I want to say canon I've actually really come to enjoy as time has gone on. I almost feel like I probably put it like maybe, I don't know, either like here or here. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, I'm almost at the end of this tier list. Let me go ahead and grab. Let's get this one out of the way. So this is going to be, what was this? Sabbath of the Witch. So this is the last Ubisoft title. I do like Sabbath of the Witch. I feel like it was kind of like the main girl route was a little long, and then I actually played the redhead girl first, and her route was like easily the worst, I want to say, because when I was playing it, it just feels like it just goes on too long, where it's like the main goal is to like get together with the girl, and then it happens, and then you think, okay, the game's gonna end, and then like it goes on because they have to do more like slice of life rom-com stuff, and then then the second time it almost feels like it's the same goal of like, okay, they're trying to like understand each other and kind of like be like a good like boyfriend girlfriend couple, and then like that gets accomplished, and then you're like, okay, well, is the route ending now? And then it keeps on going again, and then you're like, okay, well, there's not really like a main driving goal to that route. Main girl, I forget her name, but the white haired girl, that's like cover girl, she has like a proper kind of like after story-esque thing, but it's weird in that, okay, when you get to it, you're no longer like the main player character. You are seeing it through her eyes, and almost feels like it's going a little bit too long as well. But I actually do appreciate it. It's kind of more of that like emotionally driven kind of thing that they had in Natsuzora Kanata, but just like to a lesser degree, to where like they still very much wanted to keep it as like a rom-com focused story, but put in a little bit of elements of, you know, more in-depth, emotionally driven narratives. I did like pretty much those three other routes, bar from the redhead girl. And overall, I can't remember thinking that Sabbath of the Witches, what's it called, OST was better than like Riddle Joker or what is it, Senran Banka. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like it was still decent. I want to say, because I remember saying, so yeah, Senran Banka, I didn't enjoy it as much reading it, but I feel like rereading it, I would probably like it a lot more. I almost feel like this could be maybe like somewhere around, yeah, say like right here. That's a pretty good spot for it. Little Busters. Yeah, I'm keeping this one for last. I don't even think I'm gonna have that much to say on it, other than But let me see, Little Busters. I want to say this is probably right here. Little Busters. So a lot of the key games, as I was reading Air, I realized so many of the key games kind of feel like they do kind of follow the same tropes and the same like plot lines after a certain point, where it's very like family focused and like all this like kind of drama-esque. I like that Little Busters is kind of different in that perspective, in that it is just about like hanging out with the boys, right? It's very much like just like this fun, like it's surprising that Air is the visual novel about summer, but then like Little Busters feels like it encapsulates more of that summer vibe of them playing baseball and just kind of like having fun, going around doing goofy antics. Um, I feel like the comedy in Little Busters is really good. I love how Little Busters actually does have like gameplay in it. So it has like the little baseball mini game you can do at the end of like every day. If you do get later into the game, there's like a, what's it called, a like shooting gallery mini game, and like all of those are optional too. So it's not like something like Baldur's Sky where you get bored of it and then you're just like, oh, this is such a slog. but Little Busters is really good. There's so much like depth. There's so many different choices that you can do. There's a surprising amount of like depth considering how many different routes there are as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked some of the like plot twists that kind of come about. And overall, I think Little Busters is really good. If you were to ask me, I feel like Little Busters, I would say I prefer over Clannad, but I think Clannad is definitely like story-wise at a height to where it doesn't get touched by Little Busters, even though like I would say as a whole, Little Busters is really, really fun. And I would say personally, I would probably say if you were to ask me which of these I'm replaying, I'm going to pick this one. But I don't know. I feel like Clannad is still kind of untouched in that aspect. Either way, this game is fantastic. I had a lot of fun reading it. And let me get on to the final game. So this is Subahibi, otherwise known as Wonderful Everyday Down the Rabbit Hole. This game, so you can get it on Steam, and you do have to patch it, otherwise you're not going to get the full game. Very surprising. Did I not even... I didn't even rank Atri My Dear Moments, did I? Let's see. Atri is going to be probably... I don't want to talk too much. It's made by the same, like, writer. Atri's going to have an anime adaptation later this year. It's another robot girl game. It's solid. I like the kind of, like, plot twist, even though it's, like, a little predictable. I don't know. I want to say... Let's go ahead and put it real quick, like over here, I guess. Subahibi is very distinct and very different. It's what's it called? Denpa, which means it's like very much trying to, like, it's like almost like hallucinogenic, to where it's constantly shifting your perspective to multiple characters and giving you like false information, or like where you can't believe what is it called? Where it's like a non-believable reader or something like that, or narrator, non-believable narrator, where you can't fully trust what you're being told. And as the story unfolds, different things come about that make you change what you're thinking as far as like, okay, what's going on with the story? What has happened? What has this character done? What has this character done? And I do like it. It's very different. I like the multiple character perspectives. Soundtrack's amazing. It is kind of tough to swallow. I feel like this is definitely the VN where if you are someone that like struggles to kind of like have very good, what's it called? I don't know, like a mental, like you have a very good feeling on your like your personal mentality to where you're not like thinking all those dark thoughts and stuff like that. You could play through this. If you're someone that struggles with that and maybe you're not in like the greatest of places in life right now, I don't think Subahibi is like the right story for you, because even as like me, where I'm personally pretty sound, I think I got to like the third route and I read a little bit to it and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just like it gets a little too depressing at times, but I will say by the time you get to it, it will feel like cathartic. The story ends on a really like good note, but getting to there is definitely a trip. It's just something that's like so different from everything else I've read, apart from maybe like Fata Morgana. These two are like maybe close to each other in terms of like how you can kind of perceive them as like the reader. I don't know what I'm saying, but I think Subahibi is like maybe somewhere up here, probably top of A tier, I want to say. Well, I don't know. Do I want to put it in S? I could, right? I could put it in S. Maybe we do. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that, right? Let's put Subahibi in S. And I think this is going to be the final list. So, I'm surprised at how 45 games don't actually look as big of a list as I was thinking it was going to be. But I've probably been yapping for a good while now. So I think definitely, S tier, pretty solid. So we got Monobeno, Clannad, Little Busters, Mike Tetsu, Muv Love Alternative, Wonderful Everyday, and then A tier, really solid as well. B tier, a lot of like fan games, and then also maybe like shorter games. These are kind of also very like short form games, and then these are kind of like the very, very, very short games. But I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty solid tier list. Go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comments. If maybe I should have rated something a little bit better. Maybe what I should read next too. Currently, I am reading Sakura no Uta, which is also another Japanese only game. I promise I'm not only just reading Japanese only games now. It's just I feel like I read through a lot of the like big hitters when it comes to English localizations. There's like maybe White Album 1 that I still gotta read. I gotta read Rewrite, and then I don't think there's and then there's like Full Metal like Demon Muramasa or something, which I know is not on Steam. So I would have to go ahead and pick that up as well from whichever publisher has that up. I think that like I've read through a lot of the English localizations. White Album 2 is probably coming, if not this year, maybe next year. And then yeah, I don't know. Steam's definitely getting a lot more like strict when it comes to what is going up on Steam, even if there are like patches for them off of their website. I know Ubisoft, the newest Ubisoft title is having issues getting up on Steam, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. I do think visual novels are very fun to read. I mean, considering I've read so many since those couple of years back when I read DDLC, in a way, I mean, I do like it. I'm not the biggest fan of manga, but I do definitely like visual novels. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you guys let me know, I will go ahead and maybe do like another tier list of these. Maybe like ranking the various like character routes throughout these games. That could be kind of interesting. It'd probably be a lot longer though, but we'll see. Anyways, I've probably been talking for too long. Thank you guys for watching if you stuck around to this point. I've been Wave, and I'll see you next time.